Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, The Powerful Man Matthews. Tim, what's going down, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing okay.
It's great, man. Doing well is good, too. Doing well is good. Tim, I want to talk to you about a subject today and the idea of balance. And what I'm going to throw out there is a lot of business owners and business leaders, we're always striving for balance, right? Balance with business, relationships, our health. We're being pulled a million miles away. So just as an example today, got up in the morning, went to the gym. I actually did testing at the gym today, which is always fun, right? So I did exercise testing today. On my way to the gym, I had this British guy in my ear. So I'm pulled one way for business, on the way to fitness. On the way back, I had another call. I get home. I walk in the door, my son is yelling, "Daddy, Daddy," and he just wants to play and eat. And then my wife wants to talk to me about something. And then, something else is happening. Then I have a few things I want to do. And it's not even 8 a.m. yet, right? And so we're talking about how do we find balance in our life, or is balance bullshit? Is this just a contrived thing that people use to sell books? What's your take on this, Tim?
I think you should stop moaning.
I'm not moaning.
Yeah, I think, listen, if you're to imagine a scale, right? And you had two either sides of it, in order for things to be balanced, things have to be equal, wouldn't they?
Yep.
And, that I don't believe in life that there can be that, because there's always something. I mean, I would definitely believe in focus, of course, and the importance of that. But the element of being balanced, I'd suggest it's more a rhythm than a balance.
I would too. So, we hear about balance all the time, and you also have different seasons that you're going through. So I call it micro focusing. You're focusing on one thing for that time period, which means you're out of balance, so to speak, in the other areas. That's okay, right? And you can come back. Now, micro focus could be seconds, minutes, days, weeks, maybe even months, depending on the season that you're in your life. But yeah, complete balance that people are searching for I think is a BS concept, because it just doesn't exist. We get to choose the areas that we want to focus in. That doesn't mean that you have to be in a situation, Tim, where you are always working and you neglect your family. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about you may be working a little bit more in this season, but you're still taking care of your family, still spending time, quality time, and making sure you're getting those things done.
Plus, where I think most men struggle, though, isn't it? Because a lot of guys that come to us, they don't know how to switch off from work.
Yep.
So then, and also the guys that come to us, they don't know it, but they're in no man's land, right? Cycling through the five agonies, trying to fill a void, telling themselves, hey, I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this for the family. What do we always say? Well, would your family rather have you home for dinner, or make the next deal? Of course, they'd rather have you home for dinner. So, they don't have the awareness or the tools to actually be able to even have a micro focus, in my opinion. It's I know balance isn't possible. The word that I was going to say is it's so out of balance because, well, let's say there isn't a rhythm, right? Usually they'll neglect the health and all the rest of it, and everything usually, let's say 90% of their focus and their energy is all about business.
Yeah, and I think that's important. And what you said there is they don't know how to switch off. And most guys don't know that they don't know, right? They're in that situation where they don't know what the problem is until the wife leaves, until the wife starts complaining over and over again, and so then they try to swing that pendulum back, as we talk about in other podcasts, and they start trying to be home all the time, doing things to make her happy, neglecting themselves still, and then they blow up, right? And after they blow up, the relationship spreads, they have a little time apart from each other, and they try to come back together, and it's the same cycle over and over again. We're kind of living in Groundhog's Day, right? The same day, same week is repeating itself, just getting worse, and then stacking evidence that they don't have balance, and stacking evidence over and over again also that their relationship isn't working, that they're not working, and they just don't know what's going on yet. some of these guys turn to this idea and concept of, well, I just need balance in my life. And we've seen time and time again that that's not the case. Balance, the way we theoretically think about it, great. But balance is the outcome. It's not the inputs that you need, that you get to do in order to achieve some semblance of balance, or, at least having a more harmonious life.
And two points on that. One is, I think a lot of these guys don't know that they're I think they know they're out of balance per se, or they're too heavily invested in business. But at the same time, they don't have any guardrails in place either, right? Like the weekly review that we teach and that we do, and the Alpha Rising Shine routine and so on. You've got all these little checkpoints in the day, in the morning, in the evening, at the end of the week, that really cause you to reflect on the rhythm of your life. Because, with the chart of intentional living, as you know, Doug, the guys get a score, they get 1 point for each of the 5 territories, right? And they get a point by doing what they say they're going to do in the territory.
Yep.
If they overcommit and they're planning 5 things in business but get 1 done, then they can make a decision on whether that 1 thing they got done was really meaningful, or whether they get a 0 because they've just been busy and they've overcommitted and not got everything done. And they get a point if they work out, if they eat clean, whatever they define, we'll let them fill in the rules here. But at the end of every day, if you know that you've got a score of 2, let's say, you've been had a good rhythm to your life. You've been out of balance per se. At the end of the week, if your score out of 35 is low, then it's great feedback, right? There's guardrails, and it's like driving a car, right? You're never gonna get that far on a car that's got a broken engine, because the warning lights will come on the dashboard.
Yep.
So before you try and drive it 100 miles and get into the middle of nowhere and realize, crap, I'm stuck, you're going to get a warning sign coming up. It's the same with having, let's say, the chart of intentional living or whatever guardrail in place to ensure you've got a rhythm to your life. But your balance it's never going to be achieved, but definitely a rhythm can be.
Absolutely. You talked about the 5 territories, so I think it's important. We always get messages from people who are new to the show. So the 5 territories are self, wealth, business, relationships, and health. And so making sure you're focusing on hitting elements of each of those 5 on a regular basis allows you to kind of have, it's almost like a breadcrumbs in the road, right? Breadcrumbs in the road of a trail that you're following to know that you're on the right path. I mean, guys listening to this have told more kids stories and bedtime stories, so they're used to that analogy. Is when you see those breadcrumbs, you're like, great, I'm on the right path. And when you hit into the 5 territories on a regular basis, you can see that you're on the right path. But also, when we look at the chart of intentional living, we do the weekly roundups, and we really do that reflection time. You can also start to go, I've been missing relationships a lot, and you can start seeing patterns here. And kind of like, I love that check engine light analogy you just gave, because in our lives, our check engine lights are usually one of 3 things, right? One is it's our bank accounts, right? And right away we go to business, or to our wife spending too much money, but usually it's to business. The second warning light that comes on is in the area of health. And that's when you've gotten your physical, right? You get in your 40s, you get the physical, you get the finger, in places you don't necessarily want to talk about. So you get some diagnostics around yourself. And guys that are listening to this, hopefully you're getting regular checkups on your health, right? You should really be doing that. In fact, Tim, I told you this, but I'm getting my blood drawn here after we record this in a little bit.
Yes.
So you do those things. The third check engine light, or third warning on the car, is in the area of relationships. This is the hardest warning light to see, right, for most of us men, because this warning light does not come on the dashboard until the car has actually broke down, right? This warning light is very subtle. It is the small sound you hear in the engine, the timing belt or something is off, but you start getting used to it, right? Oh, that's just the way it sounds. It's not until somebody else gets into the car or something else like, what's that clanking sound in your engine? What? I just turned the radio up. you know. and and that could be your wife giving you suggestions. It could be your kids making small suggestions that you just you put it away, you dismiss it, and over time that builds up, and that warning light gets louder, or the whole engine actually breaks down. The next thing you know, you're like, crap, it's a brand new car, or this car looks from the outside like it's an $80,000 car. It's a Mercedes, but it's broken down the side of the road. And the reason is that owner didn't put oil in the car, didn't get it serviced regularly, right? I don't care how much you spend on a car. I don't care if you're spending $200,000 on a car or what. If you're not servicing it, it will break down. And the same thing happens in all the areas of your life in the 5 territories.
Yeah, so true. So true. And I mean, I think as well, the fallacy of balance keeps so many businessmen trapped.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm just thinking the guys that apply to come into the Facebook group, my God, percentage wise, I'd say at least 50%, which is a high number. There's a few thousand guys in there, a couple of thousand guys. I'd say at least 50% of the applications, when we ask them what's the number one problem you're struggling with, they'll say work-life balance. But what does that really mean? Oh, well, I just, I want to be home. I want to switch off. Okay, but what about your health? And it's almost like this ideal. It's almost like a pop culture term, work-life balance. But I really do believe that if you were to ask these guys what that means to them, I think they'd really struggle to answer it. And because it's such an elusive thing to achieve, it's almost it's put on a pedestal that these guys never really achieve, and that's okay because no one around them has it either, so it doesn't make it as bad, right? But if you actually look at I'll think about our guys in the Brotherhood. That's just coming to mind right now. They're like Lee, been able to 4x his business, or did he 3x? Can't remember. Either way, it's a good number.
Yeah.
Whilst taking 2/3 more time off, right? And losing weight and, improving his health and all the rest of it. There's a certain thing that happens when it really comes down to standards, right? What standard you're going to hold yourself to. And there's something that happens, a shift that occurs when you use a system that enables you to have a particular flow to your day in a certain rhythm, because then you become present. When it's time to be present with your wife and with your kids, you're there. When it's time to go into business, you're there. When it's time to, you're there. As a result, you get those scores of 4 and 5 on the coil, and over time, totally different reality.
I think that's all good, right? But that's for guys that are in the program, the activation method, or have gone through it.
Yeah, true.
Most of the guys listening to this, I got to imagine if they haven't been, well, shout out to all the guys that have been in through the program. Hope you guys are still doing great. I'll see you guys soon. We're going to Tulum here in a little bit for a great trip, which will be fun, Brotherhood. But for the other guys listening, it's really like, they're like, crap, this ain't working, right? That's the conversation that they're having is, I'm stressed. I'm thinking about my lady. She left, or she's going to leave. She had an affair. She had an emotional affair. What happened there? My kids don't want to be around me, or what have you. And my health. I don't have enough time, Tim, to go work out. You don't understand my situation. I need to make more money, right? Everybody needs to make more money. Come on, it's the worst excuse ever. But I need to make more money. So you don't understand my situation, Tim. I can't have balance because I need to work more. And so the answer for me is getting another job or working more or pushing through. Then once I have that extra money, Tim, then I can have balance and be happy.
Yeah, because that's going to happen.
Exactly. Well, I was telling you that story before we got on this call about the insurance sales guy, right? And I won't go into that story on this show. But the whole idea with the end of that part of that story, the punchline is, look, tomorrow you might not come home. That's reality, right? And I'm actually getting my bloods drawn for life insurance, which is ironic. I didn't think about that till today. But, but I am getting my blood drawn for that. And what happens to someday? I'm going to work my butt off, and then someday I'm going to have balance. Someday I'll be able to spend time with my wife and take her out on a date. Someday I'll be able to play with my kids. Cat Stevens, Cats in the Cradle song. I'm going to challenge every guy that's got kids right here, right now. This is your challenge. It's going to be a 4-minute challenge. Think you guys can handle that? Go to YouTube, go wherever, get the Cat Stevens Cats in the Cradle song. You know, it's a different title, I believe, but you know what I'm talking about. Cats in the Cradle with a Silver Spoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Listen to that song today, guys. Listen to that song today and then make a choice of what your time is worth, right? That's a big difference because tomorrow's not guaranteed. You can have a flow. It doesn't have to be a balance, but a flow state that you're in where you're able to dominate and work, still have connection with your wife, passionate, intimate connection, have connection and a bond with your children, get into the gym, even if it's not every day, a few days a week, or move your body so you feel loose again, so you don't feel like a sausage, right? You get that
pretzel.
Right? Yeah. Or pretzel would be great, but I think most of these guys listening to this, if they're working a lot, what happens? Your body seizes up. I've been there.
True.
Right? You feel like somebody's wrapped, saran wrap around your body or something. You can't move as much.
What's saran wrap?
It's like the plastic wrap.
Cling film.
Sure. Yep. That's saran wrap is a brand in the States.
We call it cling film in the UK.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like Kleenex tissue, that kind of deal. But the point being is you're making all these excuses up, and I did it too, so I get it. But the truth is someday isn't guaranteed. Everybody listening to this right now knows somebody who was planning for someday and died before they met it, right?
Oh, God.
We all do. I mean, Tim, you shared on the podcast, family members, and you and I have friends that we know, and we hear about this in the brotherhood all the time where the men are talking about a good friend of theirs that, took their own life. And I know most people listening aren't in that state, right? Or are not going to talk about it, but there's something different, right? Maybe you're just driving to work thinking, I'll make up with my wife next week or tomorrow. You're probably saying a few other choice words about her or what have you. But what if next week doesn't come? What if the last thing your wife and your kids remember is who you are right now today? The guy who always worked, the paycheck. They don't see that you're at work. Remember that. They don't see all of that. They just see daddy leaving. Dad left. That's all they see. And they came home. They don't see that, oh, dad supported me through my university. Dad supported me here. They see that when they're in their late 20s, 30s. But if your kids aren't there yet, they don't see that, right? Your wife didn't marry you so you could go work your butt off and provide her with a bigger house. She has dreams and aspirations, yeah, but she married you because of who you are. And you've lost that along the way. And then losing that, you started to beat yourself up trying to find balance. But balance doesn't exist. It's a flow state. If you can get in that state of flow in the season you're in, that's magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is. It really is. Bruce Lee has some great quotes around this kind of topic, doesn't he?
Yep.
Be more like water. Water goes into the glass, becomes a glass. Water eroding through the rock over time, bit by bit. It's amazing, and it's so true. I mean, it's so the concept of flow. It's like sports performers, right? Roger Federer. How did he make that shot? He's playing out of his skin. Just because he's present and he's there, and you can judge where it's going to go. And the same can be applied to your life when you're just there and you're present. And what are you smiling at?
I'm smiling at you.
Yeah, you got that cheeky grin, like you're going to come off air in a minute, and you're going to tell some joke what you're thinking of me as I was talking. But yeah, it's so true. It's so true, and it's a state that everybody can easily access as well. And once you get into it, like I felt out of sorts the past few days. Since I think we recorded the last episode on Sunday, was it? I think I complained about it then. But I feel better today. I don't feel on top form. It's kind of persisted for me for a few days. But the point is, one of the reasons why it's weighed so heavy for me is because I'm not used to feeling that. I'm used to being more in a rhythm and more in a flow with things. And the point I'm making here is when you experience that and when it becomes your norm, it's addictive because there's such an ease about your day and such a how else to describe it? I think ease would be the best word. There's such a flow and an ease to your day that decisions become easier. You move faster. There's more productivity. You're feel great because you're working out, you're eating clean, you're well rested, you are present with your partner. It's just a great place to live, and it's definitely available to everybody.
Absolutely. So, Tim, in wrapping up this episode, you know how we always like to end it with a couple pointers that the guys can take and listen. So, a guy listening to this that's like, who started this podcast, hopefully he's changed his mind. But it's like, crap, I'm just out of balance. I need to get balance, books on balance, what have you. What suggestions or advice would you give him? Give him a couple pointers here.
I would really encourage you, and this may be difficult, but I'd really encourage you to find some role models, people around you who appear to have the lifestyle that you would like. And ask some questions, because I think you'll find out that there's not a balance to their day. I would really love for you, first and foremost, to get clarity around this elusive topic of balance. It's all right, Doug and I are talking about it right now. It's another thing actually speaking to people who are living it as well. So I think it'd be smart for you to get some optics. And the second thing is, what would your day look like if you were to go about your day with a flow? And what I mean by that is, typically, for the most part, you'll organize your day in a way whereby you'll have things out in there which you love to do. We talk about eliminate, automate, delegate. You'll typically have things in there that you love to do. When you're chasing balance, usually there's a lot of things in your day that just keep you busy and drain your energy, and then just make you feel exhausted. And when you try and go home to your wife or to your kids or even work out, you just don't have anything left to give. Whereas on the flip side, when you've got a rhythm to your life, because you value your energy a lot more than your time, and you manage your energy over your time, you are very particular about what you allow onto your calendar, onto your day, into your day. So I'd really invite you to consider what it might look like if you totally served yourself. Put your needs absolutely first, just for one day. What would that day look like? Some people might call this your ideal day, but I think that can sometimes seem quite dreamy. I think this could be something that could be really practical for you. Then go about putting that in place. What do you get to do? What do you get to eliminate? What do you get to take out of your day? What do you get to do differently? And just start to live it, and just notice how you feel with it. Because more than likely, you're going to have a real shift in your energy throughout the day.
Such good advice. Well, gentlemen, that is it for us today in another episode of The Powerful Man Show. If you like what you're hearing, go over to thealphareset.com. That is thealphareset.com, where you get some more information and a training from Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews himself today. Until then, guys, have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.